It's a beautiful Friday. Thank God it's Friday, and you're welcome to Headlines Nigeria on ITI. From Abuja studios in Nigeria, I am Grace Ukot with summaries of news, politics, business and sports from our national dailies. In the news, next newspaper says 600 kidnapped suspects in police net. More than 600 kidnapped suspects arrested by the police in various parts of the southeast are being detained in different police cells in the zone. The Inspector General of Police, Ogbonna Onovo, disclosed this on Thursday in Awka, the Anambra State capital, during an interactive session with traditional rulers and union leaders at the Women's Development Center, Awka, as part of his ongoing tour of the states of the southeast. Reps offered to increase 6.1 billion naira SIM registration budget. The House of Representatives Committee on Communication yesterday offered to review upward the much criticized 6.1 billion naira requested by the Nigerian Communications Commission for the SIM registration project. Many lawmakers had questioned the huge budget during a session 2 weeks ago and urged the committee to consider trimming the amount, since the responsibility of such registration should be borne by telephone service operators and not the regulator. And this day newspaper, we see history as amended constitution takes effect. For the first time since Nigeria's independence in 1960, the legislative arm of government has given the country a new constitution in the form of the first amendment to the 1999 constitution. By global tradition, the amended sections have already become law the day a minimum of 24 state houses of assembly passed a resolution in support. As at last night, 30 state assemblies had already sent their resolutions to the National Assembly, with 19 of the proposed 50 changes having secured the 24-state benchmark. And Vanguard newspaper, entire nation soaked in corruption. CJN. The Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Aloysius Katsina-Alu, yesterday in Abuja declared that the entire nation was presently soaked in corruption and that the judiciary sector is not exempted. Although he did not expatiate on his position, he however said the deep corruption noticeable in each cardinal sector of the polity is a microcosmic representation of what is happening in the entire country. And Guardian newspaper, government plans special team to negotiate journalists' release. In a bid to achieve quick release of the kidnapped journalists, the federal government has directed their families and associates to stop making calls to the victims and holding discussions with the abductors. The Guardian learned that instead of the individual and group discussions with the kidnappers, which may complicate their regaining freedom, a special team is to be raised by the federal government to discuss with the abductors. Nigerian Compass, DPOs in Southeast may lose jobs over kidnappings. Firing from all cylinders, the Inspector General of Police, Ogbonna Onovo, yesterday hinted that any divisional police officer with a record of kidnapping under his jurisdiction would be sacked. Besides, he said the federal government may slam a state of emergency on the 5 states in the southeast geopolitical zone over incessant abductions. And politics news, Vanguard newspaper, no, respect zoning, say IBB, Atiku, others. Prominent political leaders, including former President Ibrahim Babangida, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, former Senate President Iyorchia Ayu, former Chairman of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Chief Audu Ogbe, Malam Adamu Chiroma, and Alhaji Bello Kirfi, as members of the Northern Political Leaders Forum yesterday, marshaled arguments in favor of retention of zoning and warned that its abandonment could have significant consequences for the stability of the polity. I have no plan to defect to ANPP, IBB. Former military President General Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida has said he has no plan to defect to the ANPP, describing the purported plan as a speculation. Nigerian Compass, PDP targets Lagos, Edo in 2011. The national chairman of the People's Democratic Party, Dr. Okwesili Ezenwodo, yesterday said that part of the fundamental changes being made to snatch the party from godfathers is the amendment of the party's constitution and removal of delegates from them. He also declared that the state must win the general elections in Lagos and Edo states in 2011. Punch newspaper, Catholic group identifies electoral reform as rebranding tool. As the 2011 general election approaches, the Catholic Young Men Association on Thursday identified the enthronement of a credible electoral system as a major tool in achieving the country's quest of rebranding. And we'll move over to business news now. Next newspaper, Stock Exchange website is dead. The website of the Nigerian Stock Exchange has been down for about 2 weeks and subscribers are getting irritated as information can no longer be accessed online. And in this day newspaper, CBN, shareholders now to recapitalize rescued banks. The Central Bank of Nigeria has enhanced the participation of shareholders in the recapitalization of rescued banks by bestowing on them the power to midwife the process. They would also take the final decision on who invests in the financial institutions. Nigerian Tribune, federal government's discordant tunes on NNPC unfortunate. Mark. Senate President David Mark on Thursday expressed worry over the federal government's discordant tunes on the solvency or otherwise of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation. Nigerian Compass, federal government plans to sell 315 billion naira bond this quarter. The Debt Management Office has announced government's plans to sell the biggest amount of bonds in at least 4 quarters in the 3 months through October, as it seeks to finance projects amid unstable crude oil revenue. And in sports news, Punch newspaper, Nigerian football needs passionate leader. Olokwade. Ogun State Commissioner for Sports and Youth Development, Bukola Olokwade, has said the solution to the problems of Nigerian football lies in passionate leadership in the Nigeria Football Federation. Next newspaper, Football Federation boss recommends hard work and discipline. The acting president of the Nigeria Football Federation, Aminu Maigari, has urged members of the men's under-20 and under-17 sides, the Flying Eagles and the Golden Eaglets, to imbibe the virtues of hard work and discipline. Nigerian Compass asked Lulu Uchegbulam Ogunjobi barred from NFF elections. Former top officials of the Nigeria Football Federation who were impeached in the wake of Nigeria's poor showing at the 2010 FIFA World Cup have been ruled out of the body's elections. Sani Lulu, Amanze Uchegbulam and Taiwo Ogunjobi, after their impeachment, stand disqualified from the forthcoming elections. And with this, we wrap up this edition of Headlines Nigeria. Do have a lovely weekend. Thanks for logging on.